Apparently, this is going to happen, this vote to pass a standalone bill on Israel funding in the House. If it were to pass, would you vote for it in the Senate?
Good to be back with you.
We've got the Zoom gods with us here. You all right, Senator? No problem.
About that. So the short answer is no. This is a non-starter of the United States Senate because in addition to providing assistance to Israel, we also have to provide urgently needed assistance to Ukraine. What House Republicans are saying is they want to abandon the people of Ukraine to Vladimir Putin. Let them violate their sovereignty, take over the country and their democracy. And they're also trying to use this as an opportunity to allow very wealthy tax deadbeats, people who are not paying the taxes that are already due and owing, to get off the hook. So it's outrageous that they're using the attacks by Hamas to try to actually pass legislation that gives very wealthy tax cheats a way out, and at the same time increases the deficit. This doesn't pay for anything. As the Congressional Budget Office indicated, their plan actually increases the deficit because they're taking away the ability of the IRS to enforce tax laws against very wealthy people.
So clearly this does sound like a political messaging bill from the House GOP, but at the end of the day, it is a Republican-run House. So somehow this deal needs to be sweetened to make sure you can get enough votes. The president said he won't even sign an Israel alone funding bill. So if you go back to his bigger ask, which included Ukraine, as you mentioned, as well as money for Taiwan and the southern border, are more Democrats willing to give in to some of these Republican demands when it comes to the U.S. southern border to make sure they get this all-encompassing bill?
So Democrats support President Biden's request for additional funds for border security purposes, as well as Ukraine, Israel, and importantly, humanitarian relief and assistance for people in Gaza. So, yes, I think that Democrats will support the proposal that President Biden put forward, and I'm confident we would have a bipartisan majority in the United States Senate to get that done. In fact, in the House of Representatives, if the new speaker were actually to put that up for a vote and let democracy, small d, work its way, it would pass the House.
Speaking of democracy, small d, I have to ask you about this 5-hour escapade on the Senate floor last evening involving military promotions that we've talked about quite a bit here, even with the senator from Alabama, Tommy Tuberville, who's protesting the abortion travel policy at the Pentagon. A lot of folks have asked what it would take to break the blockade, Senator, and a lot of folks answered Republicans to turn on Tommy Tuberville. And it sure seemed like that started happening last night. Listen to Senators Joni Ernst and Lindsey Graham, and we'll have you respond.
They will be confirmed someday if we have the intestinal fortitude to do what is right by our military men and women who have absolutely nothing to do with the policy that was put in place by Secretary Lloyd Austin and President Joe Biden.
There's a reason this has not been done this way for a couple hundred years. No matter where you believe it or not, Senator Tuberville, this is doing great damage to our military. I don't say that lightly. I've been trying to work with you for 9 months. Folks, if this keeps going, people are going to leave.
The sense of frustration was palpable last evening as Tommy Tuberville himself objected to some of these votes, even though he said that he would go along with this if they were brought to the floor on an individual basis. 3 of them snuck through today, including the first female leader of the Navy. The admiral was confirmed earlier. Senator, what happens next here? Is Tommy Tuberville going to back down?
Well, yesterday was a very important moment because to date, you've seen a lot of Democrats in the Senate go to the floor and condemn Senator Tuberville's actions, which are putting our national security at risk and doing great harm to military families. But last night, as you just showed, we finally had 4 Republican senators go to the floor and make the point that many of us have been making. So we still don't know if Senator Tuberville will relent. Today we did the nominations through the normal course. We got cloture. We've had a final vote for 4 individuals, some senior officers in the services. But there are hundreds still to go. And as Lindsey Graham was pointing out there, for hundreds of years, we've done this by unanimous consent because we don't hold members of the military responsible for decisions that they have no control over. And that's what Senator Tuberville's doing. He's putting those military families at great jeopardy and putting our national security at great risk because he disagrees with the policy. The way to deal with that is to try to change the policy. Don't try to punish hundreds of our military servicemen and women.
If cloture votes were forced tomorrow and next week, as they were today, how long would it take to get those hundreds of officers approved?
Well, it would probably take a year. I mean, I don't know the exact amount, but this requires a huge amount of Senate time. We wouldn't be able to keep the government open. We wouldn't be able to work on the supplemental that we were just talking about, the emergency supplemental. We would have to devote our time only to these nominees. And even then, it would probably take up to a year to do hundreds of them if you eat up the amount of clock that's necessary, which is why we are looking now at a way to change the rules, at least on a temporary basis, to clear these hundreds of nominations. In order to do that, we will need 60 out of 100 Republicans. So last night was a good sign that maybe we're heading in the right direction to get a way around the Tuberville roadblock.